WQSU is proud to present the PA Pigskin Preview, WQSU's live sports talk show produced exclusively by Susquehanna University communication students. Tonight, we'll preview local high school and college football games live from Buffalo Wild Wings. Right now, it's the WQSU Sports Corner.
WQSU Sports Corner on Riverhawk Sports Network. It's the PA Pigskin Preview live from Buffalo Wild Wings. I am Kelsey.
And I am Uncle Lefty. Tonight we will take a deep look at the high school, local level, and college football preview. This weekend's games is going to be a big one. We got coaches to talk to who are joining us on air, and it is going to be a big night, Kelsey. Are you ready? You got your war paint on?
I'm hype. I got my war paint on.
Yeah, get your cowboy collar.
It's game time.
Yeah, get your cowboy collar out. It's time for fullbacks and nothing less. And we have a big one right here. The head coach of the Selinsgrove Seals, Coach Derek Hicks. Coach, how are you doing? It's another week. It's another work week for us in the football season. How are the boys?
They're doing great. First of all, thanks for having me. This is a pretty cool setup here at Wild Wings.
Yeah, a little Thursday night lights action. We got the Giants on. We got my team going.
Yeah. This is no joke. You guys don't mess around. You do it right. So, but yeah, the boys are doing well. You know, we had a great week of practice. Kind of got off to a rough start this year, but they're starting to click a little bit. A couple wins in a row, and everything's going great.
Coach, I love to hear it. Now, I'll be honest. I'm no math major. But you've been a part of the Seals since you were in high school, and now you are the head coach. How does it feel coaching your alma mater?
It's really cool. You know, after I graduated college, I was fortunate enough to come back to Selinsgrove, get a teaching job, started out coaching junior high, and just kind of worked my way up. Coached the O-line for a while with the varsity program.
Coaching the Hogs.
Oh, yeah. Coached the big guys.
The big fellas.
Shifted to the defensive side, and I've been D coordinator since, I think, 2008, doing it ever since.
Nice.
And in 2015, the previous coach, Dave Hess, decided to hang it up. Mm-hmm. And I was fortunate enough to, I got the interview and was hired for the position.
Now, Coach, you didn't learn this all overnight. You played under Bill Scott, who coached at Selinsgrove for, I believe, 36 years. What did you take from that guy that coached you in high school, and how are you putting that on your Seals today?
A lot of especially practice stuff, you look at the way our practices are run, and it's not a whole lot different than when I was up there in 2006, I think was my first year with the varsity. So just the way we do things, kind of that tradition that's been passed down, and all that's coming from Coach Scott and from Coach Hess as well.
Coach, nothing but old-time football, up, downs, and sprints for the boys. Now, if you could go back to younger Coach Hicks, say back in 2008, what would you tell him about life, about football, about really anything?
Honestly, about football, I'd say just have fun because, I look at my own son who's coming up on the junior high team now, and, I'll go out to a restaurant on the weekend, and I'm seeing guys that I coach, and they're there with their families now. And it's just amazing.
It's a humbling thought.
Yeah, it just means I'm getting really old.
Of course not.
No, you don't get older. They just get older.
That's true.
I'm the one who feels like he's getting old.
But, I just take it in and enjoy it because it goes so quick, and it's just amazing, year in and year out, the experience you have with the football program. And like I said, in the blink of an eye, it's over, and, you're moving on.
Coach, like you said, you go to a restaurant, you see guys who you coached with their wife and kids. Probably even before that, obviously, skill players, quarterbacks, receivers, they're going to get their moment. Who is a guy from a group on your team that, either the offensive line, special teams, that, that needs to get that little bit of, pat on the back, that acknowledgement, for what he does for your guys?
That's an easy one. It's got to be your big guys, the Hogs, the O-linemen.
Yeah.
I was an O-lineman back in the day, and, when things are going great, it's, the running backs, like you said, they get the stats, they get their name in the paper, and, the O-line, every so often you get some recognition for that. And, of course, when there's a sack or when things are going bad.
Everybody turns their head around.
Absolutely. They know whose fault it is. So, you always, anytime you get a chance, you got to give a shout-out to the big guys.
Oh, yeah, definitely, Coach.
Coach, I want to dive into someone else that might be a little bit of a diamond in the rough on your team, and that is Wyatt Metzger. He had a very promising night last week against Shamokin when he set up the first 2 scoring opportunities for the Seals with his punting, placing the ball within feet of Shamokin's goal line twice. Metzger's been quoted in the game recap from Week 7 from the Daily Item saying that he just got thrown into punting last year, so this is a very new experience for him. Do you think he's one of your secret weapons that's going to be the differentiator later on in the season?
I think so. You know, last year we came into camp, we had Logan Leiby, who graduated, had punted for several years for us. And, we were just trying guys out, and somebody said, hey, Wyatt can kick. So I, handed him a ball, and he boomed a couple of them, and he's had the job ever since. And
he's doing it for the brand.
Oh,
I love
it. And he's got about half a rugby thing going where he kind of rolls out. And last week I think he had a 68, 69-yard punt.
That's
pinned him on the 1-yard line. Hit it right, got about 30, 35 yards in the air and let it roll.
That will just destroy teams
with
field position.
Yeah, I mean, we're back on our half the field, and we had just given up a big sack, like a 15-yard sack, so we're in 4th and 20, 25 yards. And I remember saying to the coaches, man, that hurts field position. And Wyatt goes and booms one, and they're on the 1-yard line, end up fumbling, we recover.
Look at everybody shrugging like, oh, it's okay.
Yeah. Well, actually, it was funny. I said to the coaches, I said, well, good thing we had that sack, so Wyatt had enough room to punt.
Yeah, ironically, that brought a lot of the momentum. I want to jump into fumbling a little bit since you just mentioned that. Fumbling a lot in last week's game against Shamokin. Do you expect the same against this week's opponent? Do you think it's going to happen on your side, their side? How are you going to capitalize on the opportunity?
Hopefully it's their side.
Yeah.
We always hope it's
we don't want to
them.
see that. Honestly, though, our running backs this year, and receivers when they have the football, you look at our turnovers, we haven't put the ball on the ground until this past week. I mean, they've done a great job with ball security, and with high school kids, you get through 6 weeks with keeping the ball where it belongs. That's pretty good. So. A rough patch last week, but we'll get, they worked hard. They'll get it cleaned up this week, and we move forward.
Moving forward, certainly you will, especially with your QB, Daniel Schock, who's ranked at number 19 by Penn Live's top college prospects for the class of 2022. He's been described as a QB with really obvious intangibles: solid arm, speed, athleticism, overall really good ball placement. How do you expect him to perform this week and continuing on later in the season?
Great. He's been growing every week, and as a sophomore, that's what needs to happen. Like you said, he's got the intangibles. He's a 6'3" kid. He's a big kid, strong kid, lived in the weight room in the off season. And, right now it's the fundamental things that every week you can see he's getting better at. Out at Shamokin last week, his deliveries were on point. He caught the ball, he made his read, he got rid of the ball, which, for an O-line that's been struggling a little bit at times, having the quarterback get rid of the ball quickly like that is only going to make us better.
But, Coach, your quarterback being a sophomore, all I'm hearing is that he's doing the right things. He's living in the weight room.
Yep.
He's doing what he is coached. He's being coachable. And that is a good sign for what you got going at quarterback in Selinsgrove.
Absolutely. He's got a goal. He wants to play college football. Obviously, every kid wants that D1 scholarship offer. So Danny's been, you look at his offseason and the camps he goes to, like I said, living in the weight room, being a great leader for our team. And, he's got that dream, and he's doing everything the right way right now to try and realize it.
So you guys really have all the pieces of the puzzle, it seems like lately, forming together. Right now, Central Mountain's entering the game not so hot.
No.
0-7.
Yep.
Earlier in the season, they lost to Shikellamy 50-14. Earlier in the season, you guys defeated Shikellamy 37-6. So overall, what type of matchup are you kind of grasping at heading into Friday?
In high school football, it's hard to look at that. They beat them by this score or lost to them. I watched the Central Mountain Shamokin film, and that was a nail-biter. Shamokin ended up, I think it was like 14-6. They won on a late defensive score. To do the whole, they played this team and that team is tough. What I'm impressed with is Central Mountain has moved the football on teams. And whether it's an interception or a fumble, they shoot themselves in the foot as they get near the red zone. And, you just hope as a coach that our defense keeps playing well and they find a way to keep making those mistakes.
Well, Coach, how are we going to get it done this weekend? It's Friday Night Lights against Central Mountain. The Seals are 4-3 on the season, and the boys from the Grove have to come up with a big win at home under the lights. thoughts? Who's going to be that guy for you?
You know, that's always tough to predict because, you know, you look at some of the games Danny's put together. Dean Hollenbach has really been coming on running the football. Nate Schoen running the ball. On the outside, Josh Nyland's capable. Last week he had a 70-yard touchdown reception. He's a big play guy, and Wyatt has put a couple together as our tight end where he's had a couple big touchdown catches in games. Shikalimi comes to mind where he had 2 of them. So, you know, to pin it on one guy, who knows? There's athletes everywhere. The biggest thing, it's a homecoming game. The kids got to go out there, have a good time, and you know, bring home another win, get 3 in a row, and keep the train rolling.
Most importantly, they got to keep their minds right, Coach. Coach, thank you for coming on with us this evening at Buffalo Wild Wings, and we are loving this atmosphere here. We got a lot more coming at you. We have Todd Hummel from the Daily Item coming up. We got Coach Perk from Susquehanna coming up in a second, but we got more football coming at you. Kelsey, what games are you looking at this week for high school football?
Right now, the big game I want to look at, since it was on as of 2 days ago, is Southern Columbia versus Wyoming area. As of 2 days ago, it was back on. It was going to be canceled. The PHAC wasn't going to have it, and both teams are 7-0, so I'm really looking forward to see how that's going to turn out. And I'm really looking forward to see what Todd Hummel has to say.
I'm excited to hear Todd's picks. I heard he's the wizard of high school football
he really
picks
is
around here. A game that I'm totally looking forward to this weekend is Southern Columbia, Wyoming area. That game is interesting to me because it's a new opponent for Southern Columbia. They haven't played Wyoming area from my knowledge. Now, it's going to be interesting for that. What do you, Coach, besides Selinsgrove?
Right.
What other game are you looking into?
You know, that's an intriguing one. My gut tells me, after seeing Southern live for many years now, and this year in week 3, I don't know how you bet against that team. As a matter of fact, I don't know how you bet against them to have a big win. You know, people have asked me, you know, what do you think? Is it a mercy rule game? And I don't see how it's not. They're just that good this year.
That team has talent all over the place. Now, you have to be a college football fan. Not that you get to watch a lot because of, you know, bringing guys in on Saturday, injuries, you know, film.
Correct.
What's a game this weekend? I know it's a big Penn State weekend versus Iowa.
Yeah.
You know, it's also Red River Rivalry weekend.
Correct.
Try saying that.
Yeah,
three times.
Red
River Rivalry.
I tried my best.
Yeah, no, that's a big game, and yeah, I'll be interested. Penn State, you know, their first few games have been kind of powder puffs, I guess you could say. You know, they had that easy schedule. Now they're hitting their Big Ten slate. And, you know, Iowa's a tough team. You got Michigan coming up in a few weeks, Ohio State.
I don't think either of you have heard my song about Penn State yet.
Okay.
I've sang it on every morning show. Wake me up when Penn State plays Ohio State.
I agree 100%.
Because, you know, Michigan's – I think they could – listen, it's going to be a home game for Penn State against Michigan this
Correct.
year. I think they'll be okay with that.
Yep.
Well, Mike, that's why you're DJing and you're not singing on the radio.
You didn't hear about my backup singing career?
That's all right. Well, thank you, Coach, for your time this evening, and best wishes on the game Friday night.
All right. Thanks again for having me.
Yeah, no
Coach,
problem.
thank you.
Coming up, Todd Hummel from the Daily Item with his weekly picks. You are listening to the WQSU Sports Corner on the Riverhawk Sport Network on 88.9 WQSU. Welcome back to the PA Pigskin Preview on WQSU. I'm Kelsey.
And I'm Uncle Lefty. I'm here with Todd Hummel, writer for the Daily Item, and I would like to say the wizard of high school football picks.
Oh, I don't know about all that. That was a surprise.
He's trying to butter you up.
I know he is.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Come on. So, Todd, I have my first question is, when did this all get started? You picking high school football games, being on the high school football scene, you know, posting about it on social media and online. You know, where did this all start?
I actually started in 1992. My senior year of high school as a stringer over at the Daily Item.
Throwing it back, right?
Yeah.
It is Throwback Thursday.
It is. But, yeah, so I've been doing this about 26, 27 years. You know, the picks thing is something they've always done at the Daily Item, but you know, once some guys retired, it just kind of got to me, and I started doing it. And I don't know, it's one of those things that I don't I like to do and I don't like to do, just because sometimes people get a little angry when you don't pick their team. But other than that,
so how much of that happened? The email from the disgruntled parent saying, "You didn't pick my team. Why didn't you pick my son Johnny? He's a great running back at number 5."
It does not happen as often as you think it does. It used to happen much more back a longer time ago. I don't get much feedback anymore of people getting angry. I don't know if people are used to me now or I just don't make anybody angry anymore. I don't think it's B.
Todd, you could never make me angry.
I could try.
Yeah, it would be hard. Your Fridays and Saturdays must be crazy. Going from game to game for week to week, you must circle the fall and just say, yeah, this is off limits. No weddings.
Actually, I did do a wedding. I was in a wedding last year.
Oh, man.
It was the first Friday night I think I missed in like 11 years. But
See?
yeah, actually, it's the week part is the kind of the stuff that isn't all that fun. We have to, we produce a game night every week for like the past 12, 15 years, and that's actually where the work is at. Going to a football game on Friday night or Saturday afternoon is the fun part. It's the gathering all the stories and putting that stuff together during the week, and getting to go to the Friday night football games is the fun part of it.
I feel like it's the before and the after. It's the prep for it and knowing what you got to look for, and then after it's the okay, this happened, and this happened.
Yeah, and we have our deadline is fairly good, so we don't have to rush back anymore with these 7 o'clock starts. Sometimes. I hate to say anything that I do is hard because I cover high school sports for a living. So, that's.
And some people would wish to have that job.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't do, I've worked in a factory. I've done other things. I don't need, I know how lucky I am, and to complain about it seems a little weird. But yeah, it's a lot of work during the week. But doing those football games is kind of what it's all about.
Well, Todd, your homework certainly is showing off in your articles, and I want to dive into one quick game before I let Mike take over the steering wheel on that Southern Columbia and Wyoming area. Now, as of 2 days ago, the game wasn't happening because the PHAC said it wasn't going to be on, but now we have both teams going up against each other tomorrow, and they're both 7-0. So I just want to know your thoughts on that.
It's hard. It's weird saying that another 7-0 team is a decided underdog, but like I said, I've been doing this for 27 years, and this Southern team is the best team I've seen in those 27 years.
How many Big Ten guys committed already? 4?
4.
Oh, 3.
Julian Fleming's going to Ohio State. Gage Garcia is going to Michigan. Preston Zachman's going to Wisconsin, and Cal Halliday is going to Michigan State. And the other linebacker, Max Tillett, is getting Division I looks as well. He hasn't made a decision yet, and that's not counting the other running back, Gage's little brother, who is a great wrestler as well as a great football player. He's got a chance to do something. He's only a sophomore. It's scary how good they are, and this Wyoming area team. They're expecting upwards of 5,000 people at this game.
This is their Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's going to be their Super Bowl, and they're going to be ready for this Southern team, and it's really amazing. This Southern team's been really good like this for the last 3 years, and they don't ever seem to let down. So the big thing for Wyoming area is they have to avoid one of those 28-point Southern Columbia first quarters. And, maybe if they're able to do that, they're able to hang around for a little bit. But I really think, the Southern team is so good that they should win pretty handily up there.
And sometimes those 28-point first quarters seem impossible because I know it's been beaten, but Fleming and Garcia are unstoppable together. And I know everyone keeps talking about that, but I think it's true. What do you think about that?
Yeah, they pretty much are. And, if you a perfect example of this is maybe in the state final last year, the team that they played, Wilmington, dedicated 3 kids to Julian Fleming, and he didn't do a whole heck of a lot, but their running game.
Won the game.
Yeah, they still won the game fairly easily because their running backs, they're able to run the ball, and if they're committing 3 guys to 1 guy, that means you have a pretty good matchup somewhere else, and it's. You can't. That's what makes them so good. You can't concentrate on one kid, and that's a big thing in high school football. You usually take the star. You can take a star player out, and they have too many star players. Is basically what it is.
It is exactly what it is, and I know it's hard to pick teams when you have Southern Columbia that's just reigning with talent. Does it make you focus on other teams so much harder in your reporting to get the right coverage of a team like Lewisburg or a team like Danville, that can make the playoffs depending on how the season ends?
Well, it's one of those deals where, last 3 years I've assumed Southern Columbia is going to play for 16 weeks. So, we don't really do much during the regular season on them, save that stuff for the playoffs. And, in District 4 with the way these new playoffs, this way this power ranking system is set up, only like 4 teams in the entire district don't make the playoffs. So you got 12 weeks to get everybody in. I think we try to hit everybody, and those, spend the last 3 weeks when it's just Southern Columbia on Southern Columbia usually.
Yeah. All right, Todd, you've been doing this for a long time and reporting for sports, and it's been kind of an evolution lately, especially in the last couple of years with sports reporting 24/7, the ESPNs, the online updates, the social media. For someone new to the sports reporting world like myself, how has it changed, or hasn't it at all?
It's changed in the obvious ways you expect it to change. I mean, I was never expected to take video on my phone and things like that, and we do a little bit of that stuff. Some of the other stuff still holds. You still have to do your work, do your interviews, and things like that. But yeah, it's a lot more interactive. Just through social media. People can contact me on Twitter fairly easily. My email address is always at the bottom or in my byline in the story right now. I mean, it's not hard to communicate with people these days, and that's the biggest thing. When I first started, you had to call coaches for stats, and almost all the stats are online now. You don't need things like that. But that's the biggest thing is video. Just expected to do video things and interact with people on social media. That's probably the biggest change.
Now, Todd, I'm going to start getting into it. The Wizard. I'm going to start calling you the Wizard of high school football
I'm going to
picks.
start calling him Mr. Butterface.
Yeah.
That's all he's doing is buttering you up over here.
Oh, come
I
on.
can't think of worse
easy
things
on-
to call me.
Yeah,
I've been
right?
called
It's all
worse.
right.
Yeah, exactly. I've had my eye on a few matchups this week. You probably have too. In the area for these games coming at us, I'm going to hit you with the first one. The first one is the Danville Ironmen and the Shamokin Indians. Both have struggled in their schedule with some tough games. Who do you got making it out of this one?
I think Danville right now. I would go with Danville. These two teams that are kind of in the same situation. They're both kind of struggling offensively. Shamokin hasn't been able to run the ball the last couple weeks. In fact, Coach Hicks's team shut them out last week, and so I think some of the struggles that Shamokin are having right now are a little bit much to overcome against Danville. The quarterback for Danville, KJ Rowley, is probably our best passing quarterback in this area, and if they can give him enough time, they should get this one.
I like that. I like the quarterback to follow if they protect him.
If they protect him. And honestly, their coaches said that to me last night. That's been their biggest issue at times this year with a young offensive line is teams have been able to blitz them and kind of get them out of their rhythm offensively.
All right, I'm going to lead into my second game, and I'm going to need your wisdom on this one. Jersey Shore versus Lewisburg. Now, listen, I'm from New Jersey, and there ain't no beach at Susquehanna, so you have to give me some knowledge on this.
So Jersey
Cow manure up in Jersey Shore.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's.
I don't think it's not a beach.
It's not a beach.
No.
No,
beach.
it's in the middle. God, it's probably a good 45-minute ride up there.
Yeah.
No idea why it's called Jersey Shore. I never thought to ask,
I'm
but
not sure.
Yeah, that's
there
a
is
good
water.
question.
There is a Susquehanna River up there, but there's no beach.
I don't think we want to swim in that.
No, probably not either. But yeah, this is Jersey Shore, Lewisburg. Lewisburg, if they're able to come up with a victory, Jersey Shore, Selinsgrove, and Lewisburg will split the division title. It's going to be a tough one for Lewisburg. They're going to be missing their tailback, Max Moyers, who leads the team in rushing. Jersey Shore likes to run a quick up-tempo offense. It's kind of tough to prepare for. I think this is probably going to be our closest game of the week, but I think Jersey Shore probably wins this one. But, I think it's going to be our closest game of the week just because I think Lewisburg is going to be able to score points. It's just going to be a matter if they're going to be able to stop Jersey Shore enough.
Give me a hot take, the score. Let me hear what you think.
28-21.
28-21. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Nobody gets their feelings hurt. Everyone, it's a one possession. That's
No
a one
angry
possession
emails.
win.
Well, I honestly think that's going to be a one-possession game. I think that's, like I said, that's probably our closest game of the year. And Lewisburg's been playing pretty well. They've won 3 in a row. I just think Jersey Shore is just a bit better at this point.
Could come down to something like special teams, turnovers. That's what it.
It's high school. It's
yeah.
usually turnovers.
It's usually turnovers in high school.
To jump into Lewisburg really quick, how has Lewisburg been since Dylan Farinata left? I know he's playing up at Penn State now. So how have they adjusted to his loss?
That was their big. They spent most of the middle of last season without him, and that's kind of when the Moyers kids stepped to the forefront. Ended up with over 2,000 yards last year. And this kind of puts them in the same boat they were in this point last year when Dylan got hurt. Is now Max is hurt, and they're looking for a kid named Ethan Dominic, who's a sophomore up there to kind of fill some of those roles. And he did it. I think he had 70 yards rushing and 97 yards receiving last week, and they're going to kind of look to do a little more with him like that this week.
Well, Todd, I think I know who you're picking for this game, Southern Columbia, Wyoming area. But I kind of want to hear, what do you think the score is going to be? Who do you think is going to be the big players?
I really think this is a blowout. I think this is probably 42-7, 49-7. It's just like I said. It sounds so strange to me that another 7-0 team
is picked to lose.
Is picked to lose so badly, but like I said, the Southern team is really good. I think we're getting to where they're far enough. Wyoming area is far enough away that you're 18 years old. You don't think there's any way that this team is that good, and you're going up there to prove a point to other people that you're that good. And I think Southern's going to be ready for that, and this is the first time in a couple weeks that Southern's really going to have to be up for a game. Yeah, they're going to have to get off the bus and be ready to play football from the jump. And it's very rare that they are not. Very rare. Yeah, this Southern team is so well coached. Their head coach has been getting them to playoffs, deep into the playoffs, year in and year out. It's got to be coaching for them. Yeah, and it's one of those things that right now, it's so entrenched there. The program's so entrenched that those kids run that offense from the time they step on the field in junior high. They know what's expected of them. You talk to pick an offensive lineman. They know that for that first Monday after they get eliminated or win the state title that they're supposed to be in the weight room, and they are. And he's got that program at the point where they don't have to do a whole heck of a lot other than maybe shoot a look to somebody sometimes and things like that. And that makes life, when you got that kind of talent and that kind of commitment, that's why you get a team like this.
Well, Todd, I definitely think it's not much of a hot take to say that Southern's going to be in Hershey towards the end of the season.
No, I fully expect to be there. I was going to say December 8th. I'm not sure which day it is, though.
Oh, well, we'll be counting down on our calendar.
Yeah, it's coming up. It's already October.
Yeah, I was going to say there's only 3 this Friday night and 2 more weeks of the regular season.
Well, Todd, thank you so much for your time this evening. Coming up, we will preview local college football and chat with Coach Tom Perkovich from Susquehanna University. You are listening to the WQSU Sports Corner on the Riverhawk Sport Network on 88.9 WQSU.
Welcome back to the PA Pigskin Preview on WQSU, where we preview local high school and college football. I am Ryan, joined with Uncle Lefty, and we have Coach Perkovich of the football team here with us. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Coach, it is a pleasure seeing you on a Thursday again. We missed our usual meeting time. Last weekend, Coach, it was a big one for your program. Under the lights at Doug Arthur Stadium, your Riverhawks went out there and got a tough win, 24-17 against the Red Devils of Dickinson College, moving them up to number 21 in the country on D3.com's top 25. You had some guys make huge plays this game. Micah Christian with 2 touchdowns, catching 1 was just the coverage all over him. And you can't forget Craig Rumis, 8 tackles, 2 sacks, a pick 6, and his performance earned him a spot on D3's Team of the Week. This was already a huge weekend, Coach. I'm speechless. I'm speechless again, Coach. What do you think about this one?
Just a phenomenal college football game, kind of top to bottom. You get the night atmosphere. We haven't had a night game in a while. The whiteout, which was pretty cool, to see everyone there. But it was an awesome crowd. Our fans came out huge. You could tell, you could just feel the energy in the stadium, the whole game, especially since it was a close game, on the calls and things like that. But, our guys stepped up big. 2 of our best players stepped up in a big moment, and that's what good teams do, right? Good players do that on good teams, and as you go through a season, the close ones are really how you get measured sometimes. You got to win those close ones. There's going to be tough battles. Our conference is like that. It's top to bottom. It's very good, and Dickinson's
given us all we can handle for 2 straight years now. But I'm really glad that they both gone our way. But this one especially because, you know, it felt it could have gone a lot of different ways. You know, as you're watching the game, you're feeling the game, and we made some big plays. You know, Craig's pick 6 and Micah's you know, big catch in traffic there for the touchdown was just gigantic. You know, but our kids played hard. We played for 60 minutes. Grounded out at the end on offense, and it was great to see us get a win and get to 4-1 as we enter the bye. You know, we haven't been at this spot since I've been here. It's been a while since Susquehanna was in this position, and
it's uncharted territory.
Yeah, it's exciting. You know, it's exciting to be here now and kind of getting some, you know, as you talked about, some of the recognition nationally. That was the goal when we took over in 2015, and not just regionally but nationally, and now that's people are starting to see how good we are.
Well, Coach, I think you mentioned this last week about scores between rivals, and your scores against teams like Muhlenberg, Moravian, and Dickinson have all been the closest in the conference. All of those games in the last few years have been overtime games, close games. Is it a scheme difference? Is it a matchup difference? Give me the inside look, Coach.
I think there's a ton of factors. You know, when you're playing people, you know, some of it is matchup. You know, you either match up well, they match up differently against you. There's some things like that happen. You know, depends on the pulse of the team. You know, sometimes it's college football. There's other factors that go in.
Schedule.
They're not pros. You know, scheduling. You know, and just time of year and those things. You know, with schoolwork and some of that can be distracting at times. So we try to keep our guys focused, but there's a lot. You know, it's a lot going on, and not that that's an excuse at all. But
there's zero excuses.
Our guys,
our
guys. You know, it's just those are the battles. You know, you just have them, and you expect those, and you hope you come out on top because you execute a little bit better or make some big plays. But it's been just how it's been. I hope it changes for a positive. You know, we can get ahead on some people and get some big wins again.
Gotta get a little cushion, you know.
Yeah, listen,
a little cushion.
I need some 40-point wins, Coach. I'm in desperate need of some 40-point wins, just to bring my stress level down.
Yeah, more games like F&M would be which would be nicer. You know, where we're up big at halftime, but. That's not the way of our league. If you look around our conference and just how it's operated,
it's a tough conference.
You know, you got to get yourself in that situation. You got to make plays, and you got to really execute well.
Well, Coach, it is the bye week for me and for all other football fans. I despise bye weeks.
Worst thing in sports,
especially because it's a week without football, and a week without football is misery, Coach. How do you feel about bye weeks? Is it a good thing, bad thing? It's good to get your guys' legs back, of course, but we can't lose that juice, Coach.
Yeah, it depends where you're at in the season, I think, a little bit. You know, where the bye is. We're lucky enough where our bye is exactly in the middle of the year. So we play 5, you know, and then we take a week off, and then we play 5 more. For us, because of our schedule, you know, playing what I would say are 4 of the top 5-6 teams in our conference in a row.
The gauntlet.
Yeah, the gauntlet, as you called it, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, for us, I think the bye week comes at a good time. You know, there's been other years where I don't want, you know, when you're rolling and things like that, you worry about, you know, week off and less focus or whatever it may be. But I'm not worried about this team. Maybe some, you know, every team's different.
Maybe prior team.
Sure, but this team, I think, has been able to stay focused, stay on what we need to do, buy into what's going on, live in the moment, you know, and do all the things right. You know, that's how it's been with our team, and I've been really proud of how they've handled this. So for me, I think it's coming at a good time. I know our staff needs some time. We've been grinding at it, which we love, but
killing it in the office.
It's good there. But you know, it's also good to see my kids, and some of us see our kids and families, you know, get a little bit of break to just recharge our batteries and get ready for the home stretch here. You know, that we're going to need every game. We need to win the rest, and 1 week at a time. But it's I don't mind the bye week. I used to do a week 2 bye. At a previous job,
and
that was rough.
That was
zero
sense to me.
It's actually not that bad, but I just hated it. I just didn't love it.
I would hate that.
But you got to fix all the mistakes from week 1 and kind of recenter yourself. But it was just too early. You know, it was just way too early. So I like where it falls for us. I do.
Yeah, it falls right in the middle of the year, close to fall break. You know, it does work out for your guys, Coach. Now, Coach, it is the bye week. I'll throw this question at you. you might want to just get away from football, turn the TV off, and, go sit in your backyard for hours this weekend. I don't know. But if there was a college football game you're watching this weekend, either the Red River Rivalry, try saying that 3 times fast.
You can, man.
Either Penn State, Iowa. Which game are you tuning into this weekend?
Well, those are 2 great ones now.
Yeah.
Texas, Oklahoma, and Iowa, Penn State at Iowa, which is an awesome place.
We got Florida LSU too.
Florida LSU.
Tonight game. That's going to be a big
LSU. There's some big ones in D3 though. I'm always checking the D3 schedule.
Always
what's going on.
The Centennial Conference.
Watching it at home on my phone. I'm always checking scores all the time. None in the Centennial Conference. We all have the week off, which is kind of a week.
Yeah.
It's a league-wide bye, but there's still a ton of different games out there that we're watching. Some in our region. I think Barry plays Hendricks, which is a big one. I'm on the regional advisory committee this year, so I've got to keep my ear to the ground on some of the things that are happening in our region.
Got to get your vote ready.
Yep, got to get it's a couple weeks away, so got to see who's good or things like that. But really excited to just kind of chill and watch some college football. Kind of last week was kind of neat. For the first time, we had a night game.
Yeah.
So our staff was in watching
the earlier games.
Yeah, watching D3 games, 1AA games, things like that. I'll probably tune into some Patriot League games. I got a lot of friends that coach in that league. So I'll be definitely watching a lot of games. But Texas, Oklahoma, I love what Oklahoma does on offense. So
That's awesome.
I'll definitely be tuned in there. Yeah, 3 straight Heismans.
Jalen Hurts likely going to win it. It's too early to call, but
I don't know. I don't know if it's that early.
He's got a good shot.
Listen, I'll tell you the one team I'm going with this one. It's Hook'em Horns all weekend.
Oh.
I got the brother down in Texas. We're simulating well to the Texas fandom. So, Coach, getting back into your team, Craig Rumis, this guy has just been a force on the perimeter for the Hawks. Defense, he's been on your defense basically since he showed up on campus with his cowboy collar and his long hair. Just a straight-up great athlete. He fits perfectly into your scheme for what you guys do on defense. He's played a lot of different positions in high school, different sports in high school. Is that something you guys look for in recruiting football players for Susquehanna?
I think so. I think it's always great to see guys that play multiple sports or want to in college. Means they're truly bought in, I think, most times. But it's not an end-all, be-all, because there's a lot more specialization these days than there was maybe 15 years ago in recruiting. A lot of kids played other sports, but depends on the position. We always like to see wrestlers, and definitely our linebackers and our offensive line. That's always good to see.
I would think basketball players too because of football.
Yeah.
Basketball players for sure. Track athletes in the skill positions, guys that can run. If you have legitimate times, so it's another way for us to evaluate your times.
Big Giants run already.
Which is great.
Wow.
There we go.
But I like to see multiple athletes, multiple sport athletes. Craig's been, Craig could play a lot of positions for us, as I tell people. He's a great athlete. He's, his energy that he plays with is just contagious, just making unbelievable plays. But, he's a pleasure to coach. A lot of people forget we didn't have him for a stretch last year. He missed a lot of what we're playing right now, half of the Hopkins game, and then you just keep on going on through the bye. We missed him, and you can tell, it's been a big difference having him back and his play.
Coach, that is one guy that you will just always see making plays on your defense. But Coach, for players of the game last week, I was looking at it and I wasn't sure if I was right, but I was. Not one player was named Special Teams Player of the Week. It was the whole Special Teams unit. Dickinson's average drive started on the 20-yard line for the night. It's one facet of the game, Coach, that is so important, and if you don't win that facet of the game, you're going to be in trouble. Coach Zamidas has those guys going for you. What is this a huge focus during the week? The kick game, the punt game. We need the inside edge for people at home.
Well, yeah, we look at kick game as really a third of the game. We spend a lot of time on it. We meet more than any other place I've ever been at and talk to, which is great to see. And I think, we had some issues with our punt team against Muhlenberg. The 2 blocked punts were a big issue. But I think that game was the game where we started to see our kickoff team, who won the award, start to really come into their own. Understanding that if I win with speed and I read my keys, we've got a lot of team speed. That's something people will say about us, no doubt. If you ask coaches around,
we should start a track team.
There you go.
There's some really good guys that can run. So just those guys trusting each other and us putting them in those positions. But it's really them just buying into what we're telling them, buying into, being successful with what we're telling them. So they're trusting what we're telling them. But it's been fun. I mean, Dickinson was fair catching at the end of the game.
They were waving the white flag.
Essentially they wanted
field, like Monty Python.
They wanted field position because we were all over them, and I told our guys we got to keep that up,
Yes.
and it's fun to see their growth because there's some younger guys on that team, some guys that help us as backups on some positions, but for those guys to go out and make plays, be physical, set the tone for us, right from the first kickoff, you could tell. I mean, those guys were locked in, ready to go, but it was a lot of fun to see them have some success. And I agree with Coach. I mean, it's been a weekly thing kind of for 3 or 4 weeks right now, and they've been killing it. So they deserve that award. And the field position's always a big part of every game. So to see them go out and execute was a lot of fun.
Well, Coach, it is your 5th season here for the Riverhawks, and you definitely had some great moments already, from the comeback at Moravian in 2016 to beating number 18 at the time, nationally ranked Johns Hopkins at their place this year in the final seconds. I need to hear one of your favorite moments, Coach. And throughout the 5 years, it can be early on, it can be this year even. What is a moment for the Susquehanna Riverhawks that always sticks in your mind?
You gonna hold me to one, or can I go with a couple here?
Give him a couple. Give him a couple.
I'll give you 2 or 3.
All right.
Give you 2 or 3, Coach.
I would say, this year, I would start with this year of, beating the 7th or 8th ranked team in the country on the road at their place, coming back the way we did, just the energy on our side of this field, to see our guys, do what they did. I mean, no one had beaten them at home since 2010.
Which is absurd to me.
In our a regular season game. So, I mean, it's just an unbelievable stat for us to break that streak. See our kids come out and to beat them twice in a row was pretty special.
It feels good. It does feel good. We're going to say it. It feels good.
Yeah, exactly.
It was. And I think the other one that sticks out is when we beat Albright in the bowl game. Just the sheer joy on our players' face of, like, we're finally here. We finally made it. We beat a team that was, rated very highly. People didn't think we could get there, and we did. To see that, kind of transformation happen and get to that point of a postseason win, which hadn't happened in a very long time, that was a moment that definitely stuck out. Just I was able to stand back and see our guys and how they, hugged each other, enjoyed the moment, together, and it was just, that one sticks out big time for me.
That's what it's all about, Coach. It's about when I feel like you get to your level, it's about what can you do for your guys and how much you can give your guys. But, Coach, you're off this week, but next week you and the Riverhawks are hitting the buses again for a business trip to Bethlehem for a centennial rival against the Hounds of Moravian. How is the prep going for this heavyweight matchup, Coach, on the 19th of October?
We've had a couple days of practice, trying to clean some things up from our end, trying to be more exact with some things and that just getting us clicking a little bit better, I'd say more offensively than defensively. But I think it's been good. I think our guys have been locked in the periods that we've done against Moravian. I think they're much better than their record shows. I'll say that publicly. They're not, to me, they're not a 1-4 football team. They're way better.
Their record doesn't represent how good they are.
Yeah. Absolutely. And so, I think we've got to be really ready to play, we'll see what happens. Obviously, I hope we're ready to play. It's a long ride there, and we got to get off the bus and play, which we've done better this year, I think, than any other year. But I'm excited for our guys to get back out there. I know they'll be excited to play them. But it's their homecoming, so there's going to be a ton riding on it.
So there's a party the Riverhawks have to crash.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
There's a party the Riverhawks
we're going to have to make
crash.
sure we do, and but they're going to give us everything we can handle, and we got to be ready, and we got to make sure we're ready physically and mentally. I think those are the two that always come into play when you're playing someone at their place on a homecoming day. You got to play harder than them. You got to think you're down 10. And always be fighting to get back.
That's been the saying I've been hearing from the guys is when you're coming out, and hey, we're already down 10. We're already down 10. That's getting the mindset.
Good motto.
That's
Good motto to have.
Great motto.
Great
Getting your
motto.
mindset right for what you guys have to get done.
Yep. For sure. So, we're excited. We're excited, but I think the prep's been good, and I think some days off here this weekend is gonna help our guys with their preparation.
Well, Coach, I love to hear it. Thank you so much for coming on and joining us for our PA Pigskin preview. We are going to keep it rolling here on the Pulse. We got more picks coming up for Penn State and Pitt coming up at you in a little bit here on the Pulse. And welcome back. It's the PA Pigskin preview. It's Uncle Lefty, and I am chilling here with Ryan. We're watching Giants-Patriots live here in Buffalo Wild Wings. We got a lineup of college football games for us this weekend. A smorgasbord.
Yeah.
A smorgasbord of
ranked matchups. We have so many ranked matchups to
Oh
choose
my
from.
God. Let me just start off with this one. You've been hearing my song the whole time. Wake me up when Penn State plays Ohio State.
It's soon. It's soon.
It is soon.
3 weeks.
It is very soon. Penn State plays Ohio State. But it's not this weekend. It is Penn State, Iowa. And this is a tough one because it is very hard to come out with a win in Iowa.
It's always. They have the best tradition in college football where they turn around, I think, at the end of the third.
At the Children's Hospital.
Yeah, at the Children's Hospital, and they wave hello. That's the best thing in college sports.
I love that.
I have to say that right now. But Penn State just snuck into the top 10. And they're taking on Iowa. They have Michigan next, so it doesn't get any easier for them. They have to replace – they're still working on replacing Saquon Barkley, Miles Sanders, Trace McSorley, all those that came through the pipeline. I think they can do it.
But they're still not far away. They still got a really good quarterback, Sean Clifford. This guy is nice.
He's
like
legit.
What is he? What is he, right?
He's legit.
He is.
I have to say it.
I was happy you agreed with me for once, right?
I know, right? We usually don't do that.
Yeah, we usually never
Giants
do
Eagles
that.
fans, we don't do that around
We're
here.
usually always butting heads and throwing fists. All right, for the Heisman race, it is coming up faster than we can even picture. And who do you got, Ryan, taking home the Heisman this year?
I mean, you have to go with Jalen Hurts right now. Jonathan Taylor's my boy. He had a 4 rushing touchdown performance last week against Kent State. But Jalen Hurts, what Lincoln Riley does with every quarterback, Kyler Murray, you've seen it with Baker Mayfield. They're not looking too good in the pros right now, but when they played for Lincoln Riley's offense, they looked fantastic. I think it's Jalen Hurts is to lose right now.
Listen, Ryan. Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback, a good college quarterback.
I didn't say he was going to be good in the pros. I'm just saying we might have a third straight Heisman.
I have 2 guys on the top of my mind already, and it's Tua Tagovailoa and it's Trevor Lawrence. Ooh. It is Clemson and it is Alabama. 2 of the best programs in the United States. Bar you maybe 1 or 2 others. Ohio State.
I mean, Clemson's been struggling. Trevor Lawrence only has he's 5 interceptions. He's not doing too hot, but he's coming back.
I think in the end of the day, it's going to end up being Tua Tagovailoa winning it. He has just been lights out. 23 passing touchdowns, a 76.4 completion percentage, and he makes up for it with his feet.
He has no interceptions either. He's thrown a pick. That's nuts.
I know.
He's my number 2 right now.
I'm not expecting perfection, but I want close enough to perfection.
It's Bama. You got to expect perfection from Bama. You can't expect anything less. But we've touched on a couple of these big games earlier. We have Oklahoma and Texas. You already said you're rolling Texas.
Oh, I'm rolling. I'm totally rolling Texas. I'm hooking the horns. I'm throwing them up. You can even see it here.
Wow.
Yeah, you gotta go with Texas. I mean, I can't root for Oklahoma. No, Sooners. Ew.
I've been forced into it because I usually take account of the top Heisman winners, and I try to watch their games as much as I can as they prepare for the pros. But this is going to be a big step for Jalen Hurts' Heisman campaign. If he wins this game in dominating fashion, he needs to win this game because Tua, Jonathan Taylor, Justin Fields, who we didn't mention, Trevor Lawrence, they're all just this close to catching him. And if they do catch him, it's they're going to pass him. And I don't think Jalen Hurts will have one of those games because the Big 12 is so weak to come back because it has LSU on a schedule coming up.
Yes.
He's other teams like that. Jonathan Taylor has Penn State. You have all these good teams playing good teams. In the Big 12, it's Oklahoma and it's Texas. A&M's ranked, but they're playing Bama this week. They're getting dropped from the rankings. We can already assume that.
But I like Ellinger. I like Texas. I love Matthew McConaughey. I'm rolling with Texas.
The guest picker, Matthew McConaughey. If he comes back and goes Texas.
Oh, he's totally going to go Texas.
I don't know
think he's picking anything else.
They just have to have him as a guest picker. He's going Texas.
If they have Matthew, I guarantee this. If they have Matthew McConaughey on as the guest picker, they are winning that football game, mind you.
if Matthew McConaughey's on, I cannot argue with that logic. He's just one of those guys when he come on, he picks a team in primetime, he picks his team.
I'm picking the Homes.
You don't question it. You just can't question Matthew McConaughey. He goes on that list of people that you cannot question at all. So next we got LSU in Florida, and
Coach O's LSU.
Exactly. I mean, Florida's coming off a big game. They just knocked off Auburn 5 some days ago. Bo Nix, they held Auburn to 14 points. You don't do that around here. Like, I know I have some Auburn fan friends who are listening. I'm sorry, it was bad, but this could come down to playoff implications because they both have not played Bama yet.
Yeah, no, and that's like I should start a song for wait till we play Bama.
Yeah, that's the big song because that's the number one on everyone's schedule, except they just don't play a week out of conference schedule.
This Buffalo Wild Wings is blowing up over this.
Yeah,
over this.
Over the team, over your team,
over
the
my
Giants.
team. Of course. You didn't think I was going to be front and center for the Giants?
I knew you were going to be front and center, but I didn't know we'd get this kind of applause from a PA area kind of team. You'd expect some Steelers fans. I see some Astros fans in the building. They're up 4-1 right now.
Oh yeah, there's some Strauss fans here. It's World Series time here in WQSU. Listen, as a New York, New Jersey kind of guy, the Yankees are going. The Yankees are going for it, Rye.
They are. I agree with you. I just love being surrounded by all the sports. It's the best season. NBA is starting soon.
It really is the best season for sports.
You're right in there.
You are right in the thick of it. Baseball, World Series time. You have football getting on its way. Basketball is starting up. And just wait till hockey gets around.
It's soon. It's very soon.
I'm not even ready for that.
I'm not ready for 4 sports at once. I see preseason going on right now on one of the TVs. It's just wild. It's wild to think of how we can have all these sports at once, and it's just great. I mean, the Giants are holding the Patriots to 0 points in the first quarter. You got to be happy about that, right?
I mean, I'm happy to a point. What can I say? I'm happy to a point.
I mean, you can only be so happy when you're playing the Patriots.
I mean, it's the problem right now with the New York Football Giants is the injuries.
Tell me what it is.
Is the injuries? You know, we defensive back wise, we don't really have anyone decent.
Yeah,
decent
I
per
agree.
se.
I agree with that. I'm watching the game. You're missing Evan Ingram. You're missing Sterling Shepard. You're missing Saquon. You're missing Wayne Gallman. There's definitely more. I don't know. Like, how could the Giants prepare for this loss? If they beat the Patriots tonight, Danny Dimes is already.
Well, they're not going to beat. Beat the Patriots now after that Patriots pick six.
There goes that one. Was that a block punt, a pick six?
It was. I think it was a block punt. Yeah, block punt.
I just watched like the hope leave your body.
You watched me sink in the chair.
The chair went down.
You watched the lefty have a little mini heart attack watching his Giants.
It always happens. You got him for 2 Super Bowls. Can you want much more from the Patriots?
I mean, what do I expect from the New England Patriots? What do I expect? Like, things are going to go bad in this game for the Giants, and I'm okay with it. I'm all right with it. I can live with it. I'm a big boy. I can survive.
Exactly. At least you didn't trade your draft pick like the Steelers. I have to bring that up.
At least we're not in a bad place like the Pittsburgh Steelers.
They're in a bad place. There's a multitude of teams in the bad place. The Giants are not in the bad place. They got their quarterback, Danny Dimes. We could have a show on him. It'd be fantastic.
All right, Ryan. It is about time to put an end to the PA Pigskin preview on the Riverhawk Sport Network on WQSU. Our show will be live every Thursday from Buffalo Wild Wings. More information is on Facebook.com and find us on Instagram as well. We will be back next week. Our sports shows are Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Tune into WQSU for the best of rock hits in the Susquehanna Valley.
Your favorite radio station.
You're listening to 88.9 The Pulse.
WQSU FM and WQSU FM HD1, Selinsgrove.
The heartbeat of the Susquehanna